All right, going to talk to you for just a few minutes on this windy day here in northeast Georgia. It's been raining this morning. It's actually afternoon now. The rain has stopped, but the wind has picked up, and hopefully it will blow those clouds away. You can see the sun kind of shining through. But I want to talk to you about the autumn olive bush. The autumn olive has an edible berry. That berry appears mid-fall to late fall, and it is very tasty, very edible. It's a favorite of wildlife. The birds, the animals love autumn olive berries. The autumn olive berry tastes best when it sits on the bush for a while. So the longer you wait to pick that berry, the better it will taste. And that is because of the tannins in the berry. It has a very astringent, kind of pucker the mouth type thing to it. So you want to wait for them tannins to kind of go away a little bit before you go diving in there and munching on those things. Anyway, they're a good tasting berry, and people love them. Foragers love autumn olive berries. Let's kind of identify it. Now, the autumn olive has there's the Russian olive that's in the same family, and then there's the thorny olive that is in the same family. Now, all of these olive bushes, they're not real olives. They're not even related to olives, but these three bushes, they have all sorts of different names for them, but they're in the same family. They are almost the same, and the berries do taste a little different, but they all three have edible berries. There are just about there's no poisonous lookalikes that I know of, but that's just that I know of. There may be some out there, but I don't think there is. I think you'd have a tough time misidentifying the thorny olive, the Russian olive, and autumn olive. You'll have to excuse that wind. It might get rough here in a minute. Anyway, all three bushes have edible berries. So if you misidentify and get a thorny olive or a Russian olive, it's not going to matter. You'll want to eat those berries as well. Anyway, let's kind of identify this the best we can. Anyway, here's the leaves. The leaves, of course, are green to greenish gray. On top, that's on top. Underneath, silver. It has just tons of silvery specks underneath, which cover the whole underneath and make the underside of the leaf very silvery. And then, too, it'll have these little kind of spots here and there on the underside that are kind of rusty looking, but just little tiny spots here and there. Now, the leaves, the edges are smooth, but very wavy. That they're toothless, but very wavy. Now the leaves, they alternate. So you know what that means. There's one here, and then one down there, and then so on and so on. The leaves are not across from each other. They alternate as they go down the stem. The stem itself, the young branches, the young twigs and stems, you may not see it on the video, but the little bitty rusty spots that you might see on some of the leaves, the same little rusty type spot looking things are on the young twigs and branches. And if you rub them, you might think you feel them. They're kind of bumpy, but not too bumpy, just barely. You can barely feel it. Anyway, that's it. The bark on the autumn olive is somewhat light, kind of an olive color, light olive color. And you see the leaves, you see how they're shaped. Rounded at the bottom, pointy at the top. Now, the Russian olive has a very narrow leaf. And you actually see how big the leaf is. The leaf won't get any bigger than that right there. That's about the big as they get. And then you see the smaller ones here. Anyway, the Russian olive has the narrow leaf, and then the thorny olive has a more egg-shaped leaf, kind of blunt or rounded at the tip of it. But that's it. Remember, all three have edible berries, so if you get them confused, which is easy to do, to me it's easy to get the thorny olive and the autumn olive confused. And that's because here in northeast Georgia, this plant is not invasive. Not like it is in some parts of the country. Some parts of the country, man, it's very invasive. But here, I don't hardly ever get to see it. Anyway, grows on the edge of the woods, disturbed areas, ditches, yards, along pathways, maybe next to the sidewalk. That's the best places to look for it. I have never seen it in the woods, in the middle of the woods. Now, it could probably grow there if there was a clearing, but this is it, autumn olive. See the silvery? See that? Underside of those leaves? Anyway. Hey, I am not an expert, so make absolutely sure you consult a local expert before you go in eating anything. And we will see you. Hey, go out, identify it right now, look for it as you're out and about, then pinpoint it, identify it properly, and then come back in the fall to see if you see those berries. And remember, the berries of the Russian and the thorny and the autumn olives are all edible. Some taste a little better than the others. We'll see ya.